Alright, today's video is on the Maestro Stage Phaser. We're going to crack into this and take a look at what makes it tick and literally and actually fix that, because that's the issue. So excited to look into it. Let's go ahead and get on the bench and talk about it a little bit. Alright, so today we're going to be looking at a vintage Maestro Stage Phaser. Check this thing out. This is pretty cool. So this is a model 273A phaser. Has a list of the specs on the back and directions. This is a really cool construction. So the way this works, I'm going to try and show, is that this bottom half actually pushes up into here. So when you want to turn the effect on, I've already started taking this apart, so I've got some screws loose here. But you step down on the unit, and this whole bottom portion comes in. You've got balls and speed control on it. And here's where you plug your guitar. I love this as Axe. And then the other jack says amp. And here's the battery access point. It's really cool. You pull both of these pins out, these plastic pins, and then when you do that, it releases out. So this is your battery clip, and yeah, so these pins flange outward when you push down and lock into position, and then here is your battery terminal. Now, I've already kind of taken this apart, but first I'm going to hook up a battery, and I kind of want to try and showcase what's going wrong with it, and then talk about how we are going to fix it. Okay, so I have the phaser plugged in, and the guitar and amp, or Axe rather, plugged into an amp, and I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background, that popping noise. So it has this kind of motorboating, not really motorboating, it's more just a pop while it's cycling through the phaser oscillation. So you can hear the effect. And if I increase the speed, that motorboating sound increases with the. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this off so I don't blow my vintage JBLs this is hooked up to, but that's what we're trying to fix. Let's see if we can get it. Okay, so we got the phaser on the workbench here now, and I just wanted to show how it's constructed together. So you have these two wheels on the side that are connected to the shafts of some potentiometers, and so this is what controls your effects. I think it's a super cool design. But if you scroll over here to number 2, zoom in for a second, there's a little hole. If you stick an Allen key in here, you can loosen this set screw, and then this wheel just pops right off. Zoom back out. So once this is removed, there's 4 screws here that come out, and then a nut and washer for the pot, and this pops off, revealing the inside of the circuit board. So you can see this is a PCB mounted pot onto the board. The board is held in via this pot and then these jacks, and then the pot on the other side, and then it's suspended in there. You can really see the mechanism, so I'm going to switch it on, and you can see this whole lower portion here hinges at this point, hinges, and then presses this switch off and on. I just think this is an amazing extruded aluminum design. It's super cool. I've never seen another design quite like it. But inside here are our culprits, and we're going to go through and replace the electrolytic capacitors in here. But let's go ahead and get this thing completely disassembled. Okay, so I have the balls knob removed, and so I was just going to show how this is. So there's four screws in here, number 2 Phillips. Actually, it looks like this is missing one, or it wasn't designed to have one in this location. I didn't notice that till just now. So we'll loosen all of these up. And then we'll be able to remove it after we get the jack's nut removed. Just got all those off. And then undoing the nut, yeah, it was loose, so it should have been tightened, but makes it easy for removal. So we've got the washer and the nut. Those both come out, and so this should, if it's like the other side, there's one more screw here I forgot about. I believe this is a longer screw, if memory serves me right. Yes. Now, that just pops off, and we've got a view through to the other side of the board. So now the only thing holding this in place are the jacks up top here. So we'll remove those, and then we should be good to go. Let me grab. Not affiliated in any way, but these rocket sockets, I believe these are made in New Zealand. I love these. These work really well. They're just these nice little plastic nut drivers. I need to like 3D print an organizer or something for them. But they're great for tightening jacks and making sure that you don't over tighten anything. So I'm just going to look for our 1/2 inch one. They have these nice numbered tops on them. And yeah, I love using them for working on this kind of stuff. Handier than getting out a nut driver, and you don't risk damaging anything, because if you try to over tighten it, the plastic just kind of cams out on you. But love this product. I believe I got mine off of CE distribution, but so the consumer version of that would be Antique Electronics. So now I'm going to remove this quick connect on the foot switch, and we should have complete access to the board. Okay, that took a little bit more finagling to get that out than I expected, but here's the complete board. So you can see various op amps, and then here are our electrolytic capacitors that we're going to be removing. And let me flip the board over and show the PCB. So first thing I notice on here is that we have some pretty suspect looking solder connections here on the potentiometer side. So we're definitely going to touch those up at the very least, but it's cool to see an old etched PCB design like this. This is from a time where I believe these probably would have been hand-drawn traces. I could be wrong about that. Somebody should let me know in the comments who knows a little bit more about the history of these boards, but it reminds me of some of those old school drawn out boards. So here are our replacement capacitors that I had ordered in. I went ahead and went with axials just because this is my personal phaser unit here, and I just thought it would be cool to kind of match the vintage aesthetic and spacing of it. I'm sure there's some radials that would have been a lot cheaper, and someday we're gonna be forced to do that on a lot of these effects, but in the meantime, kind of cool to put some old high quality Nichicon and Vichy. Actually, I believe this is Sprague and Vichy, no Nichicon. Axials in there, so let's get to work replacing these. Okay, so I've already removed one of the capacitors. Kind of wanted to get a feel for the board and what temperature was best for working on it, and how flimsy the traces were before I focused on filming. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove this next one here. Something of note is you have to pay attention to the polarization, you know, where the positive and negative leads are on any electrolytic capacitors. And so these are delineated with a minus sign here pointing to this end, which showcases that this is the negative lead. And so all of these are pointing up to the top. So the top portion of all these capacitors are the negative leads on the board. If you're looking at it, I guess from our perspective, it would be the bottom. But let's go ahead and work on getting this out. I'm going to turn the fume extractor on, so it'll be a little loud, but this is our capacitor we're desoldering and removing. This bottom leg is free, but the top portion still has a little bit on it, so I'm just going to heat it up while I'm pulling it out with the other hand. Good to go. I'm going to go ahead and do this with the other two capacitors and then report back. So I have successfully removed all of the capacitors, and now I'm just going to take a little bit of alcohol on the end of a cleaning tip here and clean off, I don't know if this is electrolytes or old flux under the board. Not exactly sure, but I'm going to clean that off underneath here. And I've already wicked some of these portions away, but just go ahead and give them a clean anyway. And then we'll be good to go for resoldering this back together. Alright, let's get these new capacitors crimped and into place. Okay, so all the capacitors are now placed in here, and their leads are somewhat crimped back to where we can begin soldering. Made sure to take consideration in about the polarization. These caps, these black sprays here, don't show the negative lead. They actually have a small portion on them towards the top that indicates a plus for the positive side. You can also see they're kind of crimped in here on all the positive sides. So the positive's going this way, negative's going this way, just like the old ones. Let's go ahead and get these soldered into place. I'm going to take a closer look at these when there's not a camera blocking my face while I'm soldering, and see if I need to clean any of things up or touch anything up. Okay, yep, so I had to clean up a couple of those joints because of soldering with the camera in front of my face. Still getting used to that. But I'm going to clean the flux off these boards, and I almost forgot, I still need to fix and resolder this potentiometer in here. So we'll get this in place. It's now all soldered back together. The board is completely cleaned of flux. I went ahead and mounted it back in here with the jacks and put the quick connect in. So let's put the rest of it together and let's go try this thing out. I'm excited to hear it. The Maestro is put back together, and it is working. I already kind of did a little bit of a pre-test, but the next clip you're going to hear, I found a Pink Floyd-esque kind of jam track on YouTube, and I'm playing this over it through the Showman. The Showman is cranked up to about 7 or 8. I've got the treble turned up a little bit and the bass down, and I've got a Space Echo plug-in that I've kind of got dialed in post, but I'm doing kind of a cheeky Dave Gilmour-ish kind of playing thing just to showcase this, and you'll see me reach over in the video and change the speed knob a little bit, but I left the balls, or kind of the depth control, at about halfway. It's not a traditional like depth control like you would expect. It's more, I think, controlling the low end resonance of it. But yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I will put some information about the jam track in there and give credit to who made that in the description. But thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and looking forward to the next repair. See ya.